So, have you heard this one yet? Maybe your kids are saying it, or you've seen it online. This weird phrase, 6'7". 1 minute it's on TikTok, the next it's at the dinner table, and most of us were left totally scratching our heads. We're going to dive into this because, it's not just some random number. It actually tells us a whole lot about this crazy new attention economy we're living in, where things don't even need to mean anything to matter.
Right. So the first question everyone asks is the obvious one. What does 6'7" actually mean? Come on, there has to be something to it, right? Some secret handshake, a hidden joke, a punchline we're all missing. I mean, for something to get this huge, it has to mean something, right?
And the answer, well, it means almost nothing. Yeah, you heard that right. And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. Its power has nothing to do with its meaning. It comes from somewhere else entirely. And it tells us a lot about how ideas spread now. Okay, let's unpack this mystery. How on earth does a phrase that means nothing become a massive cultural moment? Well, it turns out it's all about momentum, not the message. So it all started as this viral soundbite. Something kids were just repeating in school hallways or shouting over their video game streams. And then, boom! Before parents or, any brands could figure out what was happening, it was everywhere. And that speed, that's what creates this instant divide. You're either in on it or you're on the outside looking in, totally confused.
So if meaning isn't the secret sauce, then what is? Well, it's something way simpler and honestly way more powerful. Just repetition, over and over again.
Yeah, this really breaks it down perfectly. On the left, you've got how we used to think things went viral. It had to have some deep meaning, some clever logic. But look at the right side. That's the world we're in now. It's all about being easy to repeat, being an inside joke. It's about speed and chaos. 6'7" is living proof that the right side is winning. It's not about being smart. It's about being contagious. And this quote just nails it. Saying 6'7" isn't like saying a word with a definition. It's more like a secret password. It signals, hey, I'm in on this. I get it. You don't have to explain anything. It's like creating an exclusive club out of pure noise. So here's why it works so well, especially for a younger generation. It's basically a shared secret in a world where everything feels public. It's not some grand rebellion or anything. It's just a way to draw a line in the sand, to create a little space that's just for them. A space where being funny and weird is way more important than making perfect sense. Okay, but this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. What happens when this chaotic, nonsensical inside joke slams right into the world of big brands and money? Well, things get pretty weird pretty fast. And it seems like almost every one of these super fast trends follows the exact same playbook. It starts small, as an inside joke, then it gets repeated into oblivion until it's officially viral, and that's when the brands swoop in, trying to bottle that lightning. The last step? Mainstream awareness. When your parents start asking about it. And that's usually the sign that the kids who started it are already over it. So the first real sign that 6'7" was making the leap from internet meme to the real world was when it got translated into the one language everybody gets, money, specifically a price. Pizza Hut was one of the first big players to get in on this. They did a quick 2-day promo for wings for 67 cents. It's a classic move, right? Take a viral thing, slap it on a cheap deal, and boom, you've got people's attention. It's actually kind of amazing how fast brands can turn a silly internet joke into a real-world marketing plan these days. But look, a fast food deal is one thing. That's kind of expected. The next step in this journey, though, this was way more surprising. The meme didn't just stay a soundbite. It became something you could actually buy and wear. And this is where it gets wild. The preppy brand Vineyard Vines, yeah, not exactly who you'd expect to be on top of a TikTok trend. They dropped a whole line of 6'7" merch. And guess what? It sold out. Like, instantly. That was the moment everyone realized this thing was way bigger than just a niche internet joke. And that's the key right there. The second a digital trend becomes a real, physical thing you can buy in a store, it's not niche anymore. It's hit what you'd call cultural saturation. That's the signal that it's gone beyond the kids and now the parents know about it too. The joke is officially mainstream. Okay, so we've seen the what. Now let's talk about the so what. It's really easy to just write all this off as silly internet nonsense, right? Just noise. But if you actually pay attention, you realize these memes are incredibly powerful signals. So maybe we need to think about memes differently. They're not just funny pictures with text. Think of them more like a real-time map of our culture. They literally show us how ideas are traveling, how communities are forming around them, and, this is the big one, where millions and millions of people are putting their attention right now.
So, what are the big takeaways from the whole 6-7 thing? Well, it's basically a crash course in modern culture. First, culture moves at an insane speed now. Second, influence doesn't have to be polished or even make sense to work. Third, brands have to be unbelievably agile to stay in the game. And maybe the most important lesson, younger generations are always going to create their own shared languages to connect with each other. And if you remember one thing from this, let it be this. Memes don't need to mean anything to matter. It's not about the message anymore. It's about the speed, the velocity, the simple fact that it grabs attention. They show us what people are looking at, even if what they're looking at is, well, absolutely nothing.
Okay, so the big question is, how do you deal with all this? How do you navigate this completely chaotic world without always feeling like you're 2 steps behind?
You know, the best piece of advice is actually kind of counterintuitive. It's not about chasing the trend. It's about knowing your audience. Think about it. The 67-cent wing deal worked for Pizza Hut's crowd. For a different brand, it would have been a total flop. The real key is knowing if your audience is even part of the conversation in the first place. That's way more important than just jumping on the bandwagon. At the end of the day, you don't need to become a meme lord or an expert on every trend. The real goal is to get better at reading the signals behind the noise. It's about seeing those deeper currents, the speed, the type of humor, that desire for community that these trends are really pointing to. That's where the good stuff is. So I'll leave you with this to think about. In a world that is just packed with constant noise, maybe the most valuable skill we can have is figuring out how to listen. And, more importantly, knowing which signals are the ones that truly matter.